What's up guys, it's Lance Coury here at Thrashin Supply, and today I'm standing behind my 2020 CVO. You guys have seen this one. We did the handlebar riser setup a couple years ago on this bike. We did the foot control setup. Been through many iterations. That video was on our pullback plate with the stock setup. We have all new bars and risers on this. We've had it for 3 years. I think I've ridden it to Sturgis 3 times. 18,042 miles. You can see from the front right off the bat, there's pitting on the wheels. There's pitting on the forks. This is just road scars. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it. I'm glad this bike gets used and abused. This is my first road glide, my first bagger. I have no intentions of getting rid of it, and I really enjoy riding it. If we start out on the front of this bike, I'm really happy with this setup right now. We went with the Thrashin Supply top clamp, which is something that Juan and I developed about a year ago. It has 2 locations for the risers to be bolted to, and that came about really when we designed our first top tree, and it was at the stock location. We put it on this bike, we rolled out of the parking lot, felt like I was reaching for the bars, and I said to Juan, I was like, dude, let's put a second location a little bit closer, and that's what we have here. It really dialed in the bike. If I sit on it, I'm not having to reach to the bars. I'm 5'9", really comfortable setup. I have it paired with our 9.5-inch pullback risers, which also kind of brings it to me as well. And then I have that paired with our gauge relocation. The one nice thing about our gauge relocation, we paired carbon fiber with billet aluminum. That is a very light component, so it doesn't add much weight to the top of the handlebars. You get a very nice light feel. And then we went with the mid-bend bars. I've tested this bike with high bend bars and I've tested it with mid-bends. I found that I like the bars to be a little bit lower in the fairing, still kind of protected from the wind, not above my shoulders. Really like this setup, and I'm able to ride hundreds, even 1,000 miles in one rip. I still have the heated grips on this bike that came stock with it. It's just been something that's kind of like kept getting put on every time we would do a handlebar swap out. I don't even use them. I kind of find that when like the inside of my hand is hot, but the outside might still be getting cold, it doesn't really do anything for me, so I rarely turn them on. I have a handlebar mount on my handlebars. I only put this on for Sturgis. Do it for Sturgis because we are on the road for 6 to 10 hours at a time, and I do like to have access to my phone just in case there is an emergency that I do need to pull off the road. Now that I'm home, I will take that off. I do like to be electronics free. I got the 2-Lane Life Saddleman step-up seat with the gripper on it. This is something that the boys over at 2-Lane threw on my bike 2 Sturgises ago. You know, I was a little reluctant. I really kind of liked the CVO, the stock CVO seat. Over the year, it's really grown on me. I heard Juan mention when he was doing his bike check, seat really has a good amount of back support. The foam is dense, which does really keep you locked in. And the gripper is actually kind of nice as well. You're able to have a lot of control with just your seat. Going down to the foot controls. So the cool thing is a lot of these components were developed right on this bike, and you're gonna see that I have the -2 adjustable brake arm. Started thinking about developing a brake arm 3 to 5 years ago. The biggest thing was, how do we make something different? We don't just want it just for looks. We want something that actually enhances the ride of the bike. We first started with an adjustable brake arm, and then when we adjusted it down, I'm 5'9", I realized as it went down, it went forward. And I was like, man, it's further away again. I feel like I have to reach to the brake, which is good for some people with a long inseam. Myself, it wasn't fitting, so I was like, we need to bring this closer. We designed a 2-inch shorter brake arm, have it set at the lowest setting. What you're gonna find when I sit on my bike, I'm able to just kind of step up to the brake, and it's not so much a big ankle movement or a big step to get to it like the stock ones. Really comfortable. And then we're gonna talk about the Apex floorboards. You're gonna notice with the Apex floorboards, we went with just about the size of your shoes. And we added this little kick plate on the back, does add 1 inch. And the nice thing about that, it does come up at a level angle. A lot of the times I might find myself kind of riding back in this position, which would kind of set you more in the mid-control position, especially when I'm hitting the road for a long time. I'm able to just kind of chill like this. It does feel like a set of foot pegs is on my bike in the mid-control setting. And then again, if I want to kind of cruise out, I might put my heels on the end, but anytime it's pretty easy to get to that brake. Similar to Juan's bike, I have the -1-inch shift arm. I really like that because I brought my brake arm a little bit back. I brought my bars back. I kind of was trying to tighten up my cockpit a little bit, make everything a little bit more within reach. The -1 inch shift arm is really comfortable. I do not have a heel shift. I went away with the heel shift because I wanted to be able to use the back of my board. Just like I showed you on the brake side, I'm able to have my foot resting on the back of the board with my heel hanging off using all of the board. And I found with a heel shift on there, it caused you to not really be able to utilize the back of your left floorboard. On this side of the bike as well, you're gonna notice I have the easy shift. That does change the leverage point of your shifting, which does make it easier to get your bike into neutral as well as shift through the gears. Not that shifting through the gears is an issue, but you will notice it smooths it out. And then again, I think the harder thing on these baggers is getting them into neutral sometimes when the bike heats up. As we go towards the back, I set this bike up with P54s on the rear for the passenger pegs. My wife does hop on the bike once in a while. These are good for her. They're also nice for me. I use them as like a set of passenger pegs when I'm hitting the road. That's another location for me to stretch out, kind of ride on the back. I like that it's not too big and it does allow me to kind of rotate around it, get comfortable. Sometimes you may even catch me sitting on the passenger seat, 500, 1,000-mile days, and I might be cruising down the road like this to kind of stretch out my back a little bit, stretch out my legs. I really dig the P54s. They match up nicely with our tread pattern. They match up nicely with the brake pedal. I feel like that kind of just dials it in right there. You may notice the CVO comes with 4 speakers, which is rad. I did upgrade them to the 2022 Rockford Fosgate speakers. 2 in the rear on the saddlebags, 2 in the fairing. There's also an amplifier inside of the fairing. And these things are loud, but I do find myself using the Cardo system when I hit the road or riding at high speeds. It's nice. I'm able to talk to my friends that I'm riding with, but these speakers are rad when I'm rolling around town, keeping it through the canyons, and you're able to enjoy the outside sounds. I'm able to hear cars as well as hear the music. All right, so I get a lot of questions about this exhaust. This is a Bassani exhaust. I believe they call it their True Dual. It's a total dual system. It does not ever connect. It's just something they had on their shelf. I wanted a dual system because this bike does have long bags, which has the cutouts for 2 mufflers. And I didn't want to leave one empty, and I also didn't want a fake muffler that wasn't doing anything. So I did want to go with a dual system, and Bassani does offer this Mercury. Looks kind of like a black chrome, which is very fitting for the CVO. That was actually kind of the colors of the stock exhaust. I really thought it looked really good with the kind of black chrome that's on the forks that came stock, as well as the black and this gray color that the bike is finished in. This is the stock Screaming Eagle air filter that came on this bike, and what I did is I tuned it with Vance & Hines fuel pack. I'm able to get it running right. All right, so one of the things you notice riding a Harley is how easy the forks dive when you grab front brake. So it was a must to throw the Legends cartridge fork in the front end, and I paired that in the back with the Legends reservoirs. These shocks, they don't blow through. When you hit a bump, it actually absorbs it, really smooths out the ride. These suspension upgrades, like no matter what, whether you're riding 500 miles in a day, 1,000 miles, or you're just ripping to the beach, they make the ride that much better. It makes it easier to control the bike, as well as just makes the ride more comfortable. All right, so many of you may ask, why did you get a CVO if you're gonna switch out all of these parts? You know, you buy the CVO, so it comes with the parts and accessories from Harley-Davidson. Well, I think first and foremost, a lot of the parts and accessories that we put on, they really are for the rideability before looks. They really change the way this bike rides. It makes it ride and feel lighter, makes it handle better. That's first and foremost for us. And they do look good. But one of the things I love about the CVO is I really like the 21-inch front wheel. I like the stock look of it, but I like that it's bigger. It fills out the fender a little bit more. The engine cases have this really cool kind of sparkle gray case paint on it. So I just like some of the extra features that they go above and beyond when they build out the CVO. You know, to do this sort of paint on all the cases would take quite a bit. You can see this paint is even on the heads, in the fins. To do that secondhand after you get a bike would be quite a bit of work. So I definitely wanted to start with something that had some pretty cool finishes on the engine, on the forks. The whole inside of the fairing is piano black right from the factory. It comes with the 4 speakers right from the factory. So there were some really cool upgrades that this CVO came with, and for me, a great platform to kind of keep building off of. All right, guys, enough standing around talking about the bike. Let me hop on this thing and show you what it's like on the road. right, guys, thank you so much for checking out my 2020 CVO Road Glide. I just got to go have some fun on it. I hope I answered all of your questions. If I didn't, drop them in the comments below. We'll get back to you, and we'll see you guys on the next one.